I hope everyone's having a great football eve for those of you listening on Saturday night. And for those of you listening on Sunday morning, I hope you guys are preparing well for week 2 of football.
Yeah, so this is basically going to be a quick 10-minute episode. We're going to be going through our stardom situms, or our mook or muss, as PGR likes to call them. This is going to be a lineup optimization show. It's going to be quick, rapid fire, and we're going to be in and out. This is for those of you who are in a pinch and who don't have time to listen to the full hour podcast. So this will be, a quick little one that we'll do. We'll call it like a half episode. Probably won't even call it a whole episode. So, but anyway, we're gonna hit them right now. We're gonna hit the ground running. Running back stardoms are this week. We have David Montgomery, Nyheim Hines, and Ronald Jones. And why? David Montgomery, look what Benny Snell did to the Giants defense. They look terrible blocking the run. They have some great corner play with Darnay Holmes out of UCLA, the young rookie, and Logan Ryan, as well as Jabril Peppers backing them up at safety. So they look pretty strong as far as passing. They have a decent passing defense. We think that this is going to be David Montgomery all the way. I know a lot of people, a lot of the pros and the NFL analysts, they're big on Allen Robinson this week and Miller, and we're not saying those guys are not going to perform, but we think Montgomery is going to see the greatest benefit. Tyree Cohen too, if you have him as a flex, don't feel scared to start him. Hines, he's basically Rivers' checkdown option now, so he's Eckler basically 2.0, except not as good as Eckler.
I didn't even think of it like that.
But he's basically Eckler 2.0. The scat back, man. Listen, they don't want Taylor having the full workload yet, and they like having Hines in. They like the kid. He's been around for the past couple of years now, and they constantly feed him into the game. Start him. He's a must start. Ronald Jones, great matchup against the Panthers. They just got gashed by Josh Jacobs. Listen, Fournette's not taking the carries yet. Keep Jones in there. Keep Jones for as long as you can and trade him. Our sits for running backs are Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins, Melvin Gordon, and Singletary. Why Ingram and J.K. Dobbins? Well, it's easy. They have no idea what this rotation is going to look like until the game starts. The rotation is constantly switching. J.K. Dobbins got most of the goal line carries. That's where Ingram absolutely thrived last year. He was efficient as efficient could be with the minimal touches that he was getting. Don't start either of them. You can't trust the workload anymore, especially with Lamar taking those carries away too. Melvin Gordon, Pittsburgh defense is pretty self-explanatory. Look what they did to Saquon Barkley.
Yep, definitely
6 yards. Mook. Melvin Gordon, don't start. Singletary. Do not start Singletary. Zach Moss is taking touches away from him, especially at the goal line. I know they're facing Miami. I know it's a great matchup. If you have other options, explore them. Moss is a play here. I would keep Moss in. I think they're going to be near the goal line a lot. Singletary, not too high on. He could rack up some yardages, though, but I just don't see the touchdown upside being there if you need a big game. We have one sneaky play to running back and one sneaky bust that can happen. And our sneaky play is DeAndre Swift, and this is just because we think it's going to be a passing game, and a lot of people are negative on him. And Drake, because Drake can bust at any time. Edmonds is taking over. Joe?
We're going to do wide receivers right now. So our musts for wide receivers are Darius Slayton, N'Keal Harry, and CeeDee Lamb. Start off with Slayton. He balled out last week against the Steelers defense, which is a very good defense. This week he's going up against the Bears defense with an injured Khalil Mack. The Bears defense struggled against the Lions offense even without Kenny Golladay. I think Slayton's a must start after seeing what he's capable of. N'Keal Harry, he's versing the Seahawks this week. I think he had a pretty game last week.
Yeah, he fumbled the ball out of the end zone.
I think he's going to be a pretty good talent.
But I agree with that.
If you're looking for a flex option, start him. CeeDee Lamb and the Dak Prescott-led Cowboys are versing the Atlanta Falcons this week. And as you saw last week, if you watched the games, Seattle and Russell Wilson destroyed the Atlanta Falcons offensively. Arguably, I think that Cowboys have a better wide receiving core. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to get a lot more looks this week, and he got a lot last week, which is promising, and he got a high snap count. Our Sit-'em wide receivers are Will Fuller, Terry McLaurin, and DK Metcalf.
Ooh.
Started off with Will Fuller. He's our biggest Mook wide receiver this week. Although he had a really good game against the Chiefs last week, his points were major garbage time points.
And Baltimore's defense is just too good to
Yep.
just let that up like that.
Terry McLaurin, pretty self-explanatory too for that one. Last week wasn't a good week.
Boomer bust receiver.
It's just the Washington team. You can't trust them with the offense.
And especially against Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not a good situation for McLaurin. I would avoid him. I know it's a little tough, but I'm sure that where you drafted McLaurin, you definitely drafted somebody else if you were drafting McLaurin to start.
Yep. Our last sit-'em is DK Metcalf. This one's a surprise, and I'm sure many of you will start him no matter what. But
Stephon Gilmore.
DK Metcalf. They're versing the Patriots.
While the
Best corner in
Patriots
the league.
defense is depleted from COVID, I can see that their secondary is very good still. They can shut down people, and if Gilmore's shadowing Metcalf, I wouldn't trust it. I agree with that. We'll go right into. You're done with that, right?
Yep.
We'll go right into tight ends. So our tight end starts are Jonnu Smith, Evan Ingram, and Jared Cook. All three of these guys pretty much are stardoms for the same exact reason. Target share. Smith and Cook have seen injuries ahead of them at their receivers, and their number one receivers. They're going to get the ball. They're going to score touchdowns this week. That's my prediction. And Evan Ingram, as we just explained, what do you feel? Giants receivers against the Bears, right?
Yeah.
I would put him in. Our tight end sits Gronk, Hawkinson, and Higbee. Why? Well, Gronk, listen, O.J. Howard is taking basically all of Gronk's red zone targets.
He got a touchdown. He got more targets.
He's younger. He's better. He's talented. While Tampa hasn't utilized him, he's still there. Hawkinson, I wouldn't trust him yet. He did this last year, week 1. He had a huge scoring game. Don't trust him till he has repeat performances. Even though he's facing Green Bay, I think this is a wide receiver battle. Wide receiver and running backs mostly. Tyler Higbee, I would not trust him against Philly. Philly's good against the tight end. And listen, I don't think he's that good. I'm sorry to say. I just don't.
Yeah. Tyler Higbee.
They like their receivers.
All right. Moving on to quarterbacks. Our stardom quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Dak Prescott. Starting off with Rodgers. He's a must start this week. He's versus the Detroit Lions, who got torn apart by Mitch. He also destroyed the Vikings last week. Rodgers shows promising signs that he has a fire under his ass this year.
Yeah, Rodgers is big this year.
I think he's going to do great. Tom Brady. It was a little rough for him last week. It was his first start in offense he'd never played in before. I expect him to be a little bit more comfortable in week 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect him to be totally there yet, but definitely a
yeah.
little more comfortable. And
It's going to be harder with Godwin out.
but he likes Miller. He likes
Yep,
that guy,
and
Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller's a good play too, but he's on our sleepers list. You could check this out on PGR.
Yeah, I think he's going to improve from last week, definitely. Dak Prescott, this is an easy one. He's versus the Falcons. I talked about it before with CeeDee Lamb. He's got a better receiving core and
your
offensive line than the
Cowboys.
Seahawks, and you see what they did to the Falcons.
Yeah, start your Cowboys for sure this week.
The sit-'ems. We're going Carson Wentz, Ryan Tannehill, and Deshaun Watson. Started off with Wentz. Last week was rough for Wentz. I think things get worse for him in week 2.
Yeah, Wentz had a bad against Washington.
Yep, and you see what the Rams defense looked against the high-powered offense of the Cowboys.
Donald is taking.
They handled it well.
Yeah.
It's
part 2.
The likes of Donald and Ramsey, I just think it's not going to be good for Wentz. Ryan Tannehill. This one may be surprising due to the matchup. They have the Jaguars. I wouldn't say Tannehill is on here because of the defense he's versing, but the game plan, the offensive game plan the Titans are going to go by is going to be run heavy. The Jags' defensive line is one of the weakest in the league, and I think Derrick Henry's going to run all over them. Tannehill, I don't think he's going to get as many pass attempts as he did last week.
Definitely not 43.
Yep. And closing it off with Deshaun Watson. I'm sure everyone was disappointed with him, all the Deshaun Watson owners. He had a garbage time rushing touchdown. It scares a lot of owners. It scared me. I'm an owner of Deshaun Watson. And the Ravens defense is outstanding. I think it's going to be rough weeks ahead for D-Watt. I wouldn't even expect a 20-point game from him. And if you have two QBs that are solid, if you have Deshaun Watson as your starter and maybe a solid QB as your backup, look at your backup. Maybe you sit D-Watt and start him.
Yeah, I'd
Start
consider
the
it
other
too.
guy.
Quarterback play is very important, and sometimes you can't just look at the matchups. But this one's just rough for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Our full articles, they will be on pregameritual.com as always. Make sure you check it out if you want to read. Maybe you missed something or you want to just see a little more detail of what we have. They'll be there. We do our Mook or Must every week. We're going to release a sleepers article every week, selecting 2 sleepers from each position. That one's already out. You can go see it. There's some interesting reads on there. Again, we hope you do the best this weekend, and
best
hopefully,
of luck. Best of luck.
best
for
of
week
luck,
2.
and hopefully you walk out of this week with a dub, and you listen to our advice.
Yep.
Signing off.